my background, I'm an attorney. I do a lot of my practices land use. Been doing it for 11 years, and I have the unique, I originally represented developers and builders, but also represented two towns, Lincoln and Warren, and I did represented their zoning and planning departments. So I understand it from the developer's perspective, the delay, and also understand from the community's perspective what it takes to get these projects reviewed and through, what it takes the planning board. This bill, it reduces the time frames, but I would submit not to the point where it's impossible. The first component of this bill is the change for a certificate of completion. Like Mr. Bradley said, this is based on a checklist. Each town has a checklist of what you have to get in to be reviewed, to get on the agenda. Right now, the planners have 60 days to determine whether or not you even submitted enough things. And it's basically whether you submitted it or not. It's not, do we like it, do we not like it? Is the material there? We think that 25 days is sufficient. 60 days, 2 months to see if you even have everything there is a long time. The next component is the time for review of a project. We're going from 4 months to 3 months in this bill. Again, I don't think in the scheme of things, that's a long time. A lot of these projects we find with developers that come in, especially from out of town, are kind of flabbergasted with the amount of time this takes because they don't want to miss the market, lose tenants on commercial projects, and so on and so forth. I want to note that with respect to the time a planning board has to review a project, we're not changing the fact that an applicant can always extend that time. That happens a lot of time on these big projects, especially where an applicant, the board's looking for more information. You know, it's not often that an applicant says, no, review what you have, we're not going to give you more information, your 90 days is up. Sometimes it happens for various reasons, but a lot of times you don't want to risk a denial by not getting that additional information. So it says 90 days for review, but an applicant and developer can always consent to a longer period of time, and we're not changing that portion of it. And then the only other changes in this are what happens a lot of times is you finally get through the process and you go for the board, you get an approval that night, and then Mr. Bradley and I just had a project and we waited, I think it was 5 months for a decision. That means you're waiting 5 months, then you gotta wait the appeal period to even move on to the next level. So it further extends the period that Mr. Bradley is talking about, the 400 and some odd days, even further. Now you're waiting 5 months on top of that for a decision, and then you've got to wait for the appeal period to run, and so on and so forth. So there's a component in here where we reduce the time that they have to issue the decisions, and then put a penalty in if they don't get it out in time. I know you're going to hear that it takes a lot to put in for a decision, for a planner to write a decision or a solicitor to write a decision after an approval. But really, I mean, once the approval is there, that should be the last thing that holds up a project, because we need that decision to let the appeal period run. If an appeal is taken, we're out even further. If appeal is not taken, you should want this project to go on. And then the only other, there's one other change. It's as to the zoning act, and it's basically to mirror. Right now, the planning act has some different language about when a decision is approved, recorded, and then so we basically took what's in the planning act to mirror what's in the zoning act, because they really should be different process, but the recording of decisions should be similar. And then in the Planning Act right now, an applicant or an abutter, an objector that shows up, you are entitled to receive the decision, a copy of the decision. I think it's within 1 day of the recording of the decision. So no one's hiding the ball, basically. The zoning act was devoid of that at this point. It just said they had to send the decision out. It said nothing else. So it could have been after the appeal period, so on and so forth. So we've just kind of transposed that language so that zoning and planning mirror each other, both acts.